What up, everybody? Good morning and happy Thursday, May 9th. DK Show up on the air. Available on your radio dials of 105.1 FM and 790 AM online. Sports Talk 1051.com. Smart speaker, smart device is the app. Download it, take it on the go. Video stream also up and rolling right now. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. But appreciate you making us a part of your starts on this Thursday morning. Had to think about that for a second. Got my days mixed up there. What do we got on a good old game plan for us here this morning? Well, Brewers yesterday not able to win the series. Christian Yelich returned to the lineup after nearly a month away. Plugged in at the DH. Tyler Black sent down to AAA. But even with the return of Christian Yelich, and even with the Brewers starting off the game with back-to-back singles, Bryce Terang in that leadoff spot, William Contreras able to get him in, back-to-back singles, 1-0. Felt like the Brewers should have added more in that first inning, but only one run there. Royals at the bottom frame of that inning, able to put up two, and really they never looked back. Final score 6-4. Brewers tried to make it interesting in the ninth there, putting up two in the top of the frame, but nonetheless still falling and dropping the series to the Royals. Ross, final line for him, picking up his fourth loss of the season. 5 innings, 3 earned runs, couple walks, couple of Ks on there too. So Brewers, though, no off day. They begin a 4-game series starting tonight against those pesky Cardinals of St. Louis. So the St. Louis Cardinals coming to town for 4 games. Brewers then after that, not to look too far ahead, but they'll have 3 games against the Pirates. So we got 7 straight games of division opponents. Brewers still holding on to a slight lead for first place in the division over the Cubbies. And man, it's right now it's setting up to be quite the Memorial Day 4-game series coming up at the bottom of the month there. We're gonna talk a little Bryce Drake. Bryce Drake finally, maybe for some people, getting in that leadoff spot. He's been leading the team in stolen bases. Pat Murphy putting him in that leadoff spot yesterday. What does he do? 3 hits. Collects 3 hits at the top of the order there. Gary Sanchez with another home run. I mean, in his limited amount of playing time right now, I mean, he collected a couple hits, but he's already up to 5 home runs. 5 of his 13 hits so far this year have been dingers. So he's had 56 at-bats and 5 home runs. In his last 7 games, Gary Sanchez has actually hit 2 home runs, 357 average, and he's slugging 857. So maybe some more playing time for Gary Sanchez. I mean, in the last 3 games, he's been getting some more playing time too. Got started yesterday, back on the 6th over there too, so he might have to keep his bat a little bit in the lineup. But I like Bryce Terang. I don't know about the rest of you, but I like Bryce Terang hitting there at the leadoff spot, getting him on, table setter, being aggressive on the base paths. The way Contreras is hitting, keep him at the 2, kind of move around. I mean, it worked out perfectly, at the beginning of the game in the first inning yesterday. But for that to be a real threat, those 3 and 4 hitters got to be consistent. Got to be consistent threats over there to get them across. So, but we'll recap and preview this series coming up with Cardinals here momentarily. Twins picked up a win last night, so they'll wrap up their series against the Mariners. Mariners today. So baseball chat coming up here. Speaking of baseball chat, on a local sense here, what an exciting game between North and Memorial yesterday. North winning in 9 innings, extra innings there, walk-off fashion, 3-2. Took up until the was it the 7th inning for some runs to finally come aboard. So heck of a game yesterday. Game 2 coming up today too. So what else do we got on the docket here? We've got NBA playoffs continuing. The Knicks picked up another win last night. They're up 2-0 against the Indiana Pacers. The Stanley Cup playoffs also continuing to roll on here too. You got Jokic, the Joker, winning his third MVP. Giannis finishing fourth in the voting. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was second. Luka was third. Giannis fourth in the voting there. But quickly back to the Stanley Cup playoffs. You had Florida taking it to Boston 6-1, and Vancouver taking down Edmonton 5-4. Forgot to throw those scores up there too. So we'll throw some hoops chat in there, including it looks like that Patrick Beverley, he's getting investigated. Police are looking into it. Indianapolis police announced yesterday they've opened an investigation into Patrick Beverley when he threw a ball at a fan in the final minutes of that Game 6. We all remember it, right? We all remember it. So, but yeah, detectives are, quote, currently investigating the situation and take all accusations seriously. So, Pat Bev might be getting in some serious trouble over there. So, we'll talk some hoops and all that good stuff. Interesting article up on CBSSports.com. We all know probably the next biggest thing to come from Green Bay, from 1265 Lombardi Avenue, is the Jordan Love contract extension. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. The question is will Jordan Love be a top 5 paid quarterback already? But sometimes on CBS Sports, they do this column called Agents Take by Joel Curry. And he's got a new piece up there. It says why Packers Jordan Love has a case to become the NFL's highest paid player with potential extension. We'll kind of go through this. And again, remember, like we always say, what we always say, it's what the market dictates. It's what the market demands. Usually, most cases, the highest paid player, probably not viewed as the best player in the league, but some interesting comparisons from Joel Curry, former agents, talking about this potential Jordan Love extension. We know it's going to happen. I just think, the question is now, when is it going to happen? What's it going to look like? The biggest thing, you're looking at guaranteed money. For me, some of the contracts that have been signed by quarterbacks lately, if we look, say, Justin Herbert, right? His contract, he's got a big one out there. I'm going to be curious to see the years. Like Justin Herbert signed a 5-year deal, okay? So he signed that 5-year, $262.5 million deal. I'd be curious to see if they go that route, or do they say, and would Jordan Love be up for this? Do you do a little bit longer term? Remember, Patrick Mahomes signed a 10-year deal, and at that point was a lot of money. But now you kind of look at it and we kind of knew it at that time. It might take just a couple years, few years, and he's already kind of underpaid. So it's initially a lot of money right away. But if the guy continues to play at a high level like Patrick Mahomes has been, it could be viewed as a little underpaid there. Would Green Bay do a longer term thing like that? It is a risk because you only got 1 year of Jordan Love, right? Patrick Mahomes already kind of accomplished a lot of dang good stuff at that time. But would you prefer almost a longer one with the potential of it being cheaper down the road and something maybe you don't have to worry about later on? Getting into that mess it was with Rodgers contracts. Remember that? Especially his last one that he signed with Green Bay, where it was just so weird with it was not a normal NFL contract. But you look at Patrick Mahomes, this year, his cap hit, it's like $37 million. Then the next couple of years, yeah, it skyrockets up there. But then, 2028, it goes back down to $32.5 million. So I don't know. I think for me, we know he's going to get paid, and he's probably going to get paid as a top 5 quarterback. I think for me, the curious thing will be what's the years on there? How many years are they going to commit right away? And this isn't out of the norm for Green Bay. They gave Aaron Rodgers an extension in the middle of his first year starting to make him a top 5 paid quarterback at that point in time. So anybody thinking, geez, new contract after just 1 year, Green Bay did it with Rodgers in '08. He got it quicker than Love did. So, but we'll hit that up. It is receive or defer Thursday. Also, it's an outdoor tidbits with Jake Bolks coming up at 8:30. Our Wisconsin DNR Warden buddy. So, any questions? Got to text him over now. All right, got any questions for our DNR Warden buddy? Hit us up 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. All right, let's get things rolling here this morning, shall we? We're going to hit up everything. We're going to talk some baseball with the Brewers taking on the Cardinals now after dropping the series against the Royals. Talk a little Bryce Harang. Talk a little Gary Sanchez on there too. What those two guys have been able to do lately. Christian Yelich back on the ball club after missing nearly a month dealing with that back issue. Throw a little green and gold chat into this as well. So join in on the convo. Hit us up with those texts or visit the video stream, whether it's on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Join in on the conversation over there too. So, but let's get things rolling. All right. We'll take our first break and get into it. The leadoff. Yeah. Let's hear from you. Start to hit me up with those texts, okay? Quick break. We'll be back to kick off this Thursday morning after these few words. It's that time of year where we're starting to get a little bit more active, whether it's playing in some weekend ball tournaments or maybe doing some projects around the home or yard. Our bodies are starting to move a bit more. And that may also be a reminder that you got some achy joints, or maybe you got a little bit banged up rounding those bases. Whatever the case may be, you don't have to live with that pain. Just visit Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine and let the team there help you get back on the field of play or back to doing your projects. Whether it's a knee, shoulder, or any other orthopedic issue, Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine will help you live that pain-free life. Just visit cvosm.com to get started. That's cvosm.com to get started. Maybe if Christian Yelich would have visited Dr. Crow, he would on the field a little bit earlier than almost missing a month. Just saying, your knee feels better after visiting Dr. Crow.
Oh, absolutely. And my knees, I've done a lot of stuff. I've been out, I don't like dandelions, and I've talked about this, but I dig the dandelion out of my
You like the dandelion wine? No, that's...
Oh, I like that. But the backyard's different. But I've been up and down on my knees, and every day I go out and, dig 20, 30, show up and get rid of them. And it's exercise, it's mental therapy. I just feel better when you get done and you look and the dandelions are all gone. But yeah, Doc, he gave me that shot. He said, no, that's about 6 months. Well, that was, 3-4 years ago. So whatever he did, he got it in just the right place. So that cortisone shot. So I got to tell you too, I lined yesterday. Everybody's got a bucket list. You've got a bucket list.
Yep.
I do too, and I'm going to check one off this summer.
What's that?
I am going in the first week of June. I am going to Montana. Friend of mine's got a ranch.
Yep.
And I'm going to go out there and...
Is that branding season?
Yep. I'm going to go out there and brand, and I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go out there. He said, we got horses for you. Come on out. And so we're going to do that. So I'm going to check that off my bucket list. And
nice.
We were talking. I said, yeah, get out there. It's nice to run around the country, so I'll be able to ride around your ranch. He said, well, I don't think in probably 3-4 days you'll be able to ride around the ranch. So why not? He said, it's 60,000 acres.
Jeez.
I said, well, how many cows you got? How many head of cattle? He said, well, we've got 1,800 cows. So he got a few calves to brand. He said, none of the calves come pre-branded. So we got about, so it'll be fun. So I'm crossing that off my bucket list.
That's awesome.
I hope. I'm not there yet, but I'm hope. So I'll send some pictures back and it should be fun. And out in Montana, out around the Billings area.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. So this might be a dumb question, just because I saw it on the show Yellowstone. When it comes to like that, do they do a big event with the branding? It's like almost like a party.
It's a neighborhood. He said they'll, they kind of do it as a neighborhood. We blend ours, we brand the neighbors and all that. So they kind of get it all done. Yeah, they have big cookouts.
Yeah,
they have the chuck wagon out there and. He said, no, the only requirement is you come to Wisconsin, I want some cheese and sausage from Wisconsin. And I said, anything else? Yeah, a little of Wisconsin beer wouldn't hurt either. So we'll load the pickup up and take some Wisconsin treats to Montana.
Well, that's a even trade, I would say.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
That's sweet. So, all right. Brewers yesterday. We'll open up, chat a little baseball. Brewers falling yesterday. The Royals now begin a 4-game series against the St. Louis Cardinals back at home tonight. Christian Yelich returned to the lineup yesterday as DH, so nearly a month out, but hopefully now his back issues will at least be in the rearview mirror for a little while here. But a little bit of a change in the lineup card yesterday too. Bryce Terang moving into that leadoff spot. And I know that was something fans for the last few weeks have been kind of wondering, do you move a guy like Terang at that leadoff spot because he has been aggressive on the base pads, stealing a bunch of bases? Well, Terang rewarded Pat Murphy's decision by collecting 3 hits, and then you have Contreras hitting behind him. Yeah, he collected a hit, couple RBIs there. It started off double-double, but Yelly, hitless. Adames, just 1 hit. There wasn't a ton of production behind him. Gary Sanchez, though, in his limited amount of at-bats so far this year, he had another home run, collected a couple hits yesterday. He's already got 5 home runs. He's kind of pushing right now for more playing time. I'd put him in that lineup if he's going to produce like that. But here we go, 50 Yeah, just 56 at bats, and he's already got 5 home runs. 13 or 5 of his 13 hits have been 5 home runs so far for Gary Sanchez. I
Pretty
know
good
that's
ratio. I'd put him in the lineup
yeah,
more.
I know that's what you. I think it was you a couple weeks ago saying putting him in the lineup a little bit more or something like that. But yeah, I mean if he's going to be doing that type of ratio, I'd be good with that.
Well,
So
you got to look at his history. When he was healthy, when he was with the Yankees, he was very productive.
mhm.
Well, now he's healthy again, and he's with the Brewers. I don't know how the Brewers pull that deal off, but when they signed Sanchez, I thought, holy man, this kid, if he's healthy, he can produce, and he's showing in limited time on the field. He is producing. I guess like you say, I'd find more time for him to be on the field.
Yeah. So we'll see if that'll be the case moving forward. But he's definitely been displaying the power, and I know kind of probably dodged a bullet there too because it was just a few games ago, it looked like he almost popped a hammy running to first base, but he did really miss any time, missed a game or two, but he didn't get sent down, didn't get placed in the IL or anything like that. So might have dodged a bullet there. It's still he's a mammoth of a man and a huge it still boggles my mind he's a catcher just for how big
Yeah,
he is
he's a
back
big
there
boy.
behind the plate there. But yeah, if he continues to display that power, keep him in the lineup for sure.
Yeah, you need that power because Terang is going to get on base. He's going to get some hits. He's going to run, but he's not going to hit home runs.
Hmm.
Frelick isn't going to hit home runs. Some of these
Contreras
other,
is going to hit all over the
yeah, yeah,
field,
yeah. And so when you can get home runs, and hopefully Yelich comes back, it's only the first game hitless, but I want to see him back in the field playing because when you get him involved in the game, the DH, I'm glad I never had to play and be a DH. I just don't know how you keep your head in the game as a DH because you're not involved in the game really outside of when you're at bat. And so I hope Yelich can get back on the field. These guys have a different mentality if they're full-time DHs, but he's not a full-time DH. He's a fielder, a pretty good outfielder as well. And I hope he gets healed up enough so he can get back on the field. I think that will help the Brewers a lot.
Yeah, you mentioned, I mean, the good DHs were those full-time DHs, right?
Yep.
Ortiz, Martinez, Jim Thome, maybe at the back end of his
Yeah.
career.
And they knew that's all they were going to do.
Right.
And
Yep.
so they could develop a pattern of, going into the clubhouse when their team's in the field and lift weights or ride the bike or swing in the batting cage, whatever. But, if you're a player like Yelich who's got a glove and knows how to use it, knows which end to put it on, then you got to have a guy like that in the field. Hopefully he's going to continue to progress, and sooner rather than later he'll be able to play in the field.
Yeah. So the Brewers still holding on to first place in the division. If you're paying attention to that at this early point, as we are inching closer to the completion of the first quarter of the season, thanks to the Padres winning the series, or taking a couple games from the Cubbies as of late here too. It's going to be a tough matchup though tonight for the Brewers and their offense. Sonny Gray, who's having a really good start to the season for the for the Cardinals. So far, 4-1 with a .89 ERA for the Cardinals. Tobias Myers is going to be making the start for the Brewers here, but
Ooh.
Tobias Myers, he's made a few starts for the Crew as of late here, but he was a call up a couple weeks ago. But Brewers, I mean, they've got some experience going up against Sonny Gray. Willie Adames has 10 at bats. He's hit 500 against him in his career. Rhys Hoskins 250 and then 12 at bats. Yelich has struggled though against him, 18 at bats, 167. Those are your Brewers players that have the most amount of experience going up against Sonny Gray, and he's coming off of back-to-back wins. Last game was on the 3rd against the White Sox, where he pitched 7, gave up 0 earned runs. Then the Mets pitched 6, 1 earned run. Actually, in his lone loss too was against the Brewers back on the 21st, April 21st. He still went 6 1/3 and just gave up 2 earned runs, but got charged with the loss. So his one loss really wasn't, I would consider, a loss with that type of line.
No,
So.
I was going to say I think the Brewers beat him, but they didn't really beat him. They beat the Cardinals because he pitched well enough to win that game.
Absolutely. So I know the Cardinals are having a down year again here, but I always, till it proves me differently, I always get nervous whenever the Brewers face the Cardinals.
Yeah, and I'll be in County Stadium at AmFam Field tonight and tomorrow night. I'm going to both games, and Cardinals are like the Cubs. They turn out. There are a lot of Cardinal fans around the country and in Wisconsin. In fact, one of the guys I'm going to the game with tonight is a kid I grew up with, so we've known each other for 70 years. He's a Cardinal fan. I said, "How'd you get to be a Cardinal fan?" Well, when the Braves left Milwaukee when we were kids, I kind of glommed onto the Cardinals, and I just never changed. So he's a Cardinal fan. So there'll be a lot of Cardinal fans at AmFam Field, as there always is.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, there'll be a good contingent of red over there, especially behind the third base dugouts.
Yeah, but I will say they're easier to get along with than Cubs fans at AmFam Field.
I do know a couple of Cardinals fans there too. One I have to get along with. He's an in-law. I'm just kidding too. So, but no.
It's fun. That makes for the competition. It's a good, healthy rivalry. The Cardinals, you have to respect that organization. They're as good an organization as there is in baseball over time, and it's a good organization. There's no question about it.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. MLB.com has a post up where they've got a list of the most surprising developments for each team. So I'll pose that question out to all of you. What would you say is the most surprising development for the Brewers, for what they picked here for the Brewers? And this is from Adam McCulvey, who covers the Brewers for Brewers.com. He posted Brian Hudson, ace reliever. The Brewers have had a knack in recent years for uncovering bullpen gems, and on more nights than not, the 6'8" Hudson has been one. Not surprisingly, his length plays to his advantage. Hudson is in the 98th percentile in extension, according to StatCast, in the 93rd percentile in fastball run value, despite being in the 18th percentile in fastball velocity. He's a multi-inning option to boot, giving the Brewers reliable, versatile option for a bullpen missing all-star closer Devin Williams. So, what else would you put in there as maybe a nice development, if you will, for this Brewers team? I might go maybe Bryce Wilson, another guy who was originally a bullpen, but now he's been stretched out to his starter, and he's been giving them some dang quality starts, some dang quality innings.
Yeah, they've had to. If they're going to keep their head above water, these guys have to. But I'm not a pitcher, never was a pitcher, so I look at the position players, and I just think these young, talented players for the Brewers really are giving Brewer fans, and should give Brewer fans, real rays of hope for the future. These guys are getting so much playing experience as young kids. They're not fill-ins. They're starters. I mean, you look at Terang and Frelick and Churio and on and on and on. Mitchell comes back. I mean, they've got a lot of young players. I think that's what gives me the ray of hope. I like these young pitchers. I mean, that big kid, 6'8", I watch him. I'm thinking, holy man, he's one of those guys like Randy Johnson. You almost hand it to the catcher. He's so big and tall. He reaches so far, and I'm happy about that. And so, you're not happy with a losing streak, but hey, get used to it this year. It's going to happen. And even though the losing streak, as you just said, they're still in first place in the division. So, people, you can't get down on this team because the effort is there. The effort is there. These kids are playing very, very well. They're putting pressure on these other teams. They're in all these games for the most part, outside of that Yankee debacle here a week or two ago. But they've been in these games, and I think that's what's fun about this team. And I think these young players in the field and at bat are really, really giving a lot of hope to the future for this Brewers team. I hope they lock them all up for long term like they did Churio.
Yeah. I would throw one of those, position play, Bryce Terang, to start that he's been having so
absolutely.
far. Obviously he gets mentioned with his stolen bases and that, but he's hitting over 300 right now.
Yep.
And if he could be a threat at that, and if he's going to be, maybe a fixture now as that leadoff hitter, be that table setter and be aggressive and put pressure right away on the opposing teams. I think Terang we knew about his defense last year, but he's made I would say a considerable jump in the offensive play from last year.
Oh, absolutely. He has. And we've been saying this for a long time. Council's ball. Council was a winner. I mean, I'm never going to say anything bad about Council, but you question, could he have been more of a winner if he'd have done what Murphy's doing, put pressure on the defense, get guys on, steal a base, hit and run, this, that, and the other thing. Council was, get guys on, hit a home run type of, try to win the game that way. And, that's fine, but he doesn't have the big boppers like the Yankees have, Soto and Judge and Stan. I mean, you don't have those guys that the Braves have. You got to win with what you've got. And I think Council could have been an even bigger winner.
Mm-hmm.
He was a winner. There's no question about that. But I think he could have been even a bigger winner if he'd have maybe used the players he had a little bit more efficiently to put more pressure on he was strictly a station to station manager, looking at the numbers and Murphy's kind of a seat of the pants kind of a manager that I think most of us, we grew up playing that kind of ball, and that's, we didn't grow up with the statistics and all the metrics and everything else. So kind of enjoy Murphy's type of ball more than Council's.
Heck, I appreciated Ricky Weeks when he was managing that first game against the Cubbies against Council. 4 steals in an inning.
Yeah.
Just doing that. I mean,
and that's old time baseball. That's winning baseball.
Mm-hmm. And it led them to a win.
I wonder if you go back and look at the records, how many times when Council was managers, the Brewers stole 4 times in a game.
Oh, gosh, it was.
One inning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you'd find over a handful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no doubt about it. So
different baseball, but
I'm enjoying it.
So am I. Yeah. So am I. I mean, you're not going to win every game. I don't expect them to. A little better than 500 this year. Where that'll end up in the division, I don't know, but I think the future is bright for this team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's given me, again, I know we keep saying this, but it's given me comparisons to Green Bay this past year.
Yeah, good point. I didn't think of that, but that's a good point.
There were some frustrating games, obviously, for Green Bay in the first half, but it turned out to be pretty darn interesting in the second half of that season.
And I think it points to the fact that the Packers, LaFleur, and Gutekunst got a handle on their talent as the season went along.
Mm-hmm.
Who can do what? LaFleur, especially as a coach, had to, being on the firing line, but got a handle on the talent. And I think that's what Murphy is doing here with the Brewers. He's getting a handle on his talent. He moved Terang, as you mentioned, to the leadoff spot.
Mm-hmm.
He got on. He moved he moved down around the bases. And I think they're getting a handle on what their players can do. And they're good players, and they're going to make a difference. And every time you add more players like the Packers have in the draft, they're going to get that much better. But I think they understand their talent and how to use it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that kind of fits to what Stanovich, the offensive coordinator, just said the other day too. It's it's night and day how they're preparing for this year compared to last year. A lot of young guys coming in. They didn't really know what they had with them yet. Now, offense, you can do a little bit more this year. So.
And the Packers had the youngest team last year. Just think with 11 draft choices and how many free agents, how young that team might be this year.
They right now are trending to be even younger than what they were last year.
Yeah, I can believe it.
And if you're like, what? How is that? Well, you factor in Aaron Jones out. Even Jacobs comes in as younger. It's just that it works out that way. So even they might be younger, but they're still got a lot of experience, more experience than what they did last year. So.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because you look at these receivers. Watson, they think, well, they're veteran receivers. What, a 3rd or 4th year? That's it.
Yeah.
These guys are still under the rookie contract.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. So we're going to talk about Jordan Love actually a little bit later on with his pending new contract. Joel Curry, a former agent, has a piece up at CBS Sports, kind of talking about what potentially his new contract will look like. So
he'll be able to afford a new station wagon.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so. So, all right, let's take a quick break here. We'll finish up the first hour. Let's talk some hoops. We had the Knicks picking up a victory last night, but Rick Carlisle calling out the officials, even throwing the small markets term out there, saying they got to give some, give some not favoritism, but essentially he's insinuating that there's a small market bias, like they're getting picked on because the Pacers are a small market team. So,
and you're in Madison Square Garden, which is the ultimate venue.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Exactly. So we'll talk some hoops to finish up the second hour coming up after these quick words. Speaking of Toys and Ford, one of the sponsors for the mobile man cave over there. So hopefully we're going to be debuting that thing in a couple weeks here. Shout out to our mobile man cave sponsors: Toys and Ford, Woods and Water Realty, the Elbow Room, Carpet City Flooring Center, Carpet City Flooring Center, they're going to be putting in some putting green carpet in the back there. So when we get that set up, so we're going to hopefully debut that in the next couple weeks there. But shout out to Carpet City Flooring Center for doing that. And if you ever go to Carpet City Flooring Center, which you should, and you talk to Ben over there, have Ben show you his walleye photos. I'm still waiting for Ben to email me those photos so we can put them up on the Tilden Gun Trophy Gallery. But Ben, pretty famous, pretty darn good walleye fisherman over there too. He's got a showcase and show those off. So Ben, if you're listening, you gotta email those over, big guy, so we can brag it up over there too. So, but big thanks again. Hope excited to debut the mobile man cave. You might have to take that out to Montana.
Never know. The mobile man cave. I don't know if I can get everything.
Can you bring me
there.
back some souvenir to put in the mobile man cave? Maybe like a horseshoe or something? Or,
I can do that without
branding.
a problem.
All right,
Yeah.
sweet deal. So
they got an old branding iron.
Yeah, it would be cool.
There you go. We'll find something up there. Maybe I'll bring you back a calf.
I don't think the wife would like that one. Don't know where to put that one.
You took it to the sale barn and sell it, you could.
Yeah.
Calves are selling for record prices now.
Oh, really?
Oh, wet navel calves.
Yeah.
Black calves are over $900.
Jeez. All right. I'm in the wrong line of business.
Yeah, I know. So am I. If I had a bunch of calves, I'd be in good shape.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk a little hoops here to finish up the first hour, not the second hour. I know intern caught me on that one, so you're doing your job over there, big guy.
Absolutely, that's part of my training.
So the Knicks picking up another victory last night. We've got a 2-0 lead for the Knicks, and Rick Carlisle, head coach for the Indiana Pacers, not happy with the officiating in the first couple games, even saying, quote, "Small market teams deserve an equal shot. They deserve a fair shot no matter where they're playing." Kind of, I guess, an early receiver defer there, but do you think Rick Carlisle has a point? Pacers, small market going into the Madison Square Garden and being at a disadvantage over there?
I think the officiating has been very, I don't know the right word to use, shoddy, uneven. It just, you watch these games and the officials have made you look at some of these things and that's not a foul. I mean, these guys literally run over each other and it's not a foul. And then they'll go in and, you look, they barely touched him if they touched him at all. And that's a foul. So, and basketball, and like a lot of people think, basketball is a contact sport. It's just inevitable. You're going to have body contact. But these officials are making the game so inconsistent. I can see why coaches are frustrated because you can't coach the way these guys are officiating. I just don't understand it. And one thing I've noticed, and I don't know if you have, or maybe I'm not noticing it right, but during the year, there are female NBA officials.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen one in the playoffs yet. Have you?
I'll be honest. I guess I didn't pay attention to that or not. So I haven't noticed that.
Yeah, I haven't, but maybe I just missed it myself. But I haven't seen female officials in the playoffs. But I think the officiating should be called on the carpet. Whether they're biased, big markets versus small markets, I won't go that far. But I don't think the officiating has been very good.
No, it's been, and I know it's clearly evident they changed up the calling even towards the end of the regular season, right? And
they always say that.
And Adam Silver apparently said, sent out a statement, whatever you want to call it, and it's become a little bit more physical. They're swallowing the whistle in a lot of instances, which I don't mind. I didn't like the ticky-tack stuff all the time.
Well, I don't like the ticky-tack stuff that's called, but I mean, and like I said, basketball is a contact sport, but it's not like having the old hamburger drills when we were kids and, in high school playing football. You had your hamburger drills, we call them, the grass drills, whatever. But I mean, these are blocking and tackling that's not being called. It's unbelievable, some of the things.
And I think what really set Rick Carlisle off last night and where he got ejected was, I don't know if you saw this, was towards the end. So a Knicks player was initially called for double dribble. And it wasn't double dribble, but the official whistled double dribble. And they got together and then they reversed it, to which Rick Carlisle was upset because he felt like they changed it because his counterpart Thibodeau over there argued and got and they changed their mind after Thibodeau was arguing with him. To me, I don't know if I buy that one because it wasn't double dribble.
No, I saw that play. The thing that frustrated me about that call is the guy that made it.
Yeah.
The guy that made the call was behind the play. He
Yep.
wasn't, and then there was a guy in front of the play running down the sidelines in front of the benches where that Hartenstein was dribbling the ball towards the sideline where the benches, Nick's bench was on one side and, Paces on the other side, dribbling towards the scoring table. The guy that called the play was on the other side of the court. The official that was on that side, he didn't call it. And I think that's what happened. The guy said, hey, I don't know what you think you saw, but there was no double dribble there. And so it didn't go very far. It didn't take him long to make that decision.
Right.
Which I applaud him for correcting that.
Yes.
But I still think that, some of these calls are like, I think one of the things Carlisle was upset about, remember the first game? Screen.
Oh, yeah.
DiVincenzo, acted
the flop.
Like he got hit with a M16.
Well, even last night, Brunson, it was on a screen, and he he kind of over exaggerated getting hit there.
And so the officials have to be able to interpret that too as best they can. But I think Carlisle was still upset over that call the night of the game before, at the end of the game, where DiVincenzo, they said the guy from Indiana said an illegal screen.
Moving screen, yeah.
That to me was not a moving screen compared to some of the other things that are happening that they're not calling. So I think the officiating, whether it's big or small market bias, that I don't know. But I just think it's been poor, uneven.
Yeah. Says here too, I think it just updated, but according to ESPN, a source said that the Pacers have submitted 78 plays they felt went against them incorrectly during games 1 and 2.
Wow, 78.
78. Wow. Carlisle originally said that they had saw 29 plays in game 1 that went against them. He said he decided not to submit them after game 1 because he thought it would even out in game 2. But he said that obviously wasn't the case. So 78 between games 1 and game 2. Wow. Now, I don't know what a normal number is because teams can submit, that. I don't know what a normal one is, but that seems like a lot.
Yeah, and again, these people will say that officials, be it basketball officials, baseball umpires, don't impact the outcome. One call doesn't change a game. Bull. It does. They say, well, they should have done more earlier in the game. What happened earlier in the game should have no impact on that call or those series of calls that are made, like that screen at the end of the game. I mean, I go back to the Brewers game the other day when the guy was struck out and the umpire called it a ball. And I mean, both the pitcher and the catcher put their hands on their knees and couldn't believe it. And showed the replay. The whole ball was in the box. And I mean, just some really uneven officiating. And the next thing happened, the guy got a base hit. They went ahead by 2 runs. The Brewers scored 1 in the 9th, not 2. They would have tied the game. Who knows how it would have ended. Umpiring, officiating does impact the outcome of a game.
This was a quote too. This was from that small market quote from Rick Carlisle. It says here, the Madison Square Garden crowd, which was elated when star Jalen Brunson returned in the second half after missing the entire second quarter to deal with a right foot issue, made the environment hostile for the Pacers. And Carlisle said he believed it led to unfair officiating favoring the big market Knicks. Do you think crowds factor into officiating calls and all that?
Well, officials are human, human nature. And you go back to think of a lot of games through history and some of the calls that were made or not made, whether the crowd has an effect. Madison Square Garden obviously is a very partisan place. And who am I to say, but I would think the umpires were affected at least a little bit by that crowd. I really do.
When it comes to, because we've talked about this before, hate to bring it up, but Duke in Wisconsin with Coach K.
Oh, that will cross my
Uh,
mind
eh,
when you just mentioned that. But that wasn't so much a crowd;
no, it
it was
was
the influence of a very
well. That's
influential person. And I think officials do respond to that human stimulus, whether it's a crowd or an influential coach. But that is, to me, that is one of the ultimate.
so. My question is, with that from a coaching standpoint, is that just part of the game then? Is that what coaches have to, should we just as fans accept it? That's part of a game where a coach can influence calls
No,
because and
no,
all that, or do
no,
you think
no.
that shouldn't be a part of it at all?
I mean, it's a fact of life is not going to change,
Mhm.
but I don't think it should be part of the game. I
Mhm.
don't think at all because I mean that was a game where we've referenced it many, many, many times. Krzyzewski's visit with the umpires at halftime or the referees at halftime did impact how the second half was called. I don't care what anybody says.
Mhm.
Just look at the film, look at the tape.
Mhm.
I'd love to, ask him what he said or find an official and say, "What did Krzyzewski tell you?"
Mhm.
I mean, it was an unbelievable difference the way the first half and the second half were called in that championship game.
I would love to because you hear coaches, and I've heard it a lot in the NFL. When they find out their officiating crew, they spend time studying the officiating crew, like what they really focus on, and what. I'd be curious to, it'd have to be off the record, but do coaches kind of like come up with a game plan like, okay, we know if we can rattle this guy, like if we just kind of continue to, bark at him or talk to him, does he have a tendency, he or she have that tendency to be more in favor? You know what I'm trying to get at?
Yeah.
Like
Oh, I
I
know
would,
what you're trying to get at.
yeah.
I never was a coach at any level like that, so I wouldn't know how much time
Hmm.
they would spend on watching film of a referee
Right.
or, going through some kind of history of how he works a game and how you can get at him. I don't know
I
how
just want to
much
know if that would
effort
be,
it is.
if that's a part of a game plan for some
Yeah, I
coaches.
don't know.
That'd be kind
Probably
of
is. It
curious.
probably is.
Because I mean, I don't care what sport you're watching, you're guaranteed to see a coach go after an official or
Oh,
disagree, if you will.
absolutely.
So,
Vehemently, in some
yes.
cases, it's part of the game. It's part
Mhm.
of the game to go after the officials. The officials know that. And I think, if you keep a decent respect, you can't call them names or spit in their face or doing things like that. It's a difference of opinion that's in front of God and everybody when you're on TV or in a ball game at a stadium. Keep it
Mhm.
respectful, but you only take so much and then out you go.
Yep. Yep. Now it's the first hour.
There
Done
we
with the
go. We're
first
done with the
hour.
first hour.
And second hour coming up next. We'll talk a little Jordan Love. We got receiver defer also coming up in the back half of the second hour. Send us your receiver defer questions. We'll be back after these news updates. Second hour kicking off on this Thursday morning of May 9th.
You know, we were talking last hour about officiating, and especially in the NBA, changes in the playoffs. And, you know, they allow more physical play. And I was just over the break here just thinking about that. That's stupid. I mean, you know, all of a sudden you get into the baseball, as an example. You get into the World Series or the playoffs. Oh, well, now we're going to shrink the strike zone. So,
yeah.
you know, commissioners say, well, umpires make the strike zone a little smaller. Or in football, you know, change how they call it.
Yeah. It should be played the same way as it was in the regular
That's
season.
stupid. I just thinking that. I mean, it just doesn't make sense for the coaches and the players both.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you don't coach. You know, you do coach different in the playoffs than you do in the regular season. I understand that, but it shouldn't be because of the way the referees are going to handle the game.
Mm-hmm.
That's what would be frustrating, and I'm sure that's what Carlisle is part of the reason he's complaining. And the referees are kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. The commissioner's telling us, you know, let a few things go, but the coaches, you know, and I understand where the coaches are coming from. You know, you just this guy's going to have to go to the hospital and get a cast on his arm because you didn't call a fight. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I think to change the way the game is played in the playoffs versus the regular season. Now, strategy, that's one thing, but the actual physical calling of the game, I think that's wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We'll get back to some more hoops. Actually going to get to a little hoops talk coming up here in just a skosh. We're going to talk some Jordan Love a little bit later on. We're going to do some receiver defer. We've got outdoor tidbits with Jake Bulks coming up at 8:30. You got any questions for Jake, our DNR warden buddy? Text those over now at 715-830-1912. Also, coming up, or it'll be up after we get done with the program, a new episode of the Rollin' with the Golds podcast. So timing is everything, right? Because we recorded this episode last week with a couple Blue Gold golfers, but at that time last week, Nick Antman had tied the record low for the program with a 66. He comes on the podcast, and 2 days later, what does he do? Shoot 63.
Where?
It was at Bethel, but it's in Minneapolis,
okay.
a course over there. I'm trying to.
I thought if he had one over here to the country club or Wild Ridge or someplace.
Well, he shot a 66 at Sand Valley.
Oh, he did.
That was the 66, or no, not Sand Valley. Was it Arrowhead? I think it was Arrowhead actually.
Okay.
But yeah,
Wisconsin Rapids there.
Yep. Spring Victory, BU Spring Victory is where he shot a 63.
That's pretty good golf.
And you listen to him, and this was after he shot 66, and he's like, yeah, just so, yeah, okay, yeah, humble, humble, just that sort of, and I loved their mindset too. Is like, okay, seriously, like, how do you guys, do this, like shoot on a par, like tell me and I thought it was a great quote from one of the players that said, well, I had a swing coach that told me that's what you're supposed to do. And that was just their mindset.
Don't complicate it.
And I'm like, wow, okay. I mean, it's simple, and that's the mindset they have.
Yeah.
It's like, that's what you're supposed to do.
And they remain cool, calm, and collected to shoot 63. That's a wonderful.
No bogeys.
Yeah, no. And then again, you go to golf. And again, I don't want to pound the drum here, but I am. Say, okay, well, we get to the major tournaments. We're going to make the hole an inch smaller. Why? Yeah. Because it's now you're into the championships, 4 majors, like you're in the basketball or World Series or whatever. We're going to make the hole an inch smaller. So only the really good guys are going to win. Mm-hmm. I mean, to change the rules, I don't like. But again, congratulations, 63 is an unbelievable score. I mean, you think about that.
At a college tournament, too.
Yes. That's unreal. Good for him.
Yep.
Well, I wonder if he's in the transfer portal because some of these schools are going to be after him.
Yeah, he just apparently missed that's we were talking about it yesterday with Nick from the Blue Gold. Apparently, he just missed the cut to qualify for nationals with his scores. I'm like 66 to 63, and you just missed from going. It's a cumulative thing.
Yeah. Oh, I suppose.
But yeah, I'm like, okay, that has to be a chip on the shoulder for this program next year then to
Boy, I
not get
guess
there.
so if he comes back. But I would assume, again, some of the bigger schools might be looking at him and offer him a nice transfer opportunity.
Well, he caddies in the summer at Erin Hills.
Oh, he
said,
does.
yeah. I'm like, all right, I got a connection down if I ever want to go. So,
Yeah.
but a very, very awesome, very humble, modest, like
Good
even
for
when
him.
he hit that 66, there was a video. He had a 20-foot birdie putt to get that 66. Just casual.
Just rolled her right in.
Yep.
Good for him.
So, but yeah, he's very. It's a good conversation, and he sounds really quiet and just. And I'm like, dude, if I would shoot 60s, I'd probably be bragging about it.
And you play with some of those guys, and I mean, hit it where I hit it, left, right, wherever. Kind of like Army golf, left, right, left, right.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys, they hit it, and you just watch that ball sail through the air, and it just keeps going and going and going.
Mm-hmm.
You admire that. Well, these guys are just very good players.
Yep. Yeah, he's originally from Arrowhead High School, so he's a junior. So
yeah, down that area.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. Back to hoops here quickly. So the Joker won the MVP.
I saw that third time.
Third time he won the MVP. Remember last year we were talking about it seems like sometimes there's a bias like, okay, you won 2, you can't win anymore. Well, Joker kind of ruined that theory with his third. He joins an elite company now of basketball players, NBA players, to have at least 3 MVP awards. Kareem still with the record 6, Jordan 5, LeBron and Bill Russell have 4, and now Joker is with a group that has Larry Bird, Wilt Chamberlain, Magic Johnson, Moses Malone with 3 MVP awards. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was second. Luka finished third. Giannis finished fourth in the MVP voting. Do you have any problem with the Joker winning it this year?
Not really.
Yeah.
Well, I got a receiver defer for that.
All right, we'll hold on to that then. Don't want to ruin that one. So, I don't think it was a big surprise. I think if anything, I was like more like, okay, the voters actually, said, okay, yeah, he deserved it again. Because I feel like it was for a while there when certain guys hit like 2 or like, okay, we can't vote for that guy again, and they didn't do that this year.
No, I mean I think he deserved it. I mean he's a unique player. For being as big as he is, he can do an awful lot of things. I mean, he brings the ball up as much as the point guard does on that team.
Yep.
He's very unique.
Yes, he is. I've got a receiver defer too that I'm going to save for Joker. I want to bring it up now, but I'm going to wait a little bit here because it fits that one. So, but yeah, Hudson was mad that Joker won because I tried to bet him. He's like,
who did he want to win?
He's more of the now. He's like Ant-Man should have won, but Anthony Edwards over there, but he wasn't a finalist, so he can't comprehend that part yet because it's like it's done before the playoffs start. But Anthony Edwards and Jalen Brunson
great season,
right now,
though. But he had a great season.
Yeah, right now I would say if there was a playoff MVP, it's between Jalen Brunson and Anthony Edwards at this point in time.
I agree with you.
Those two right now, holy moly!
Yeah, they're really heating it up. They both played very, very well.
Mm-hmm. I mean, for the Timberwolves to go over to Denver and take 2, where Denver has been fantastic at home, and now it goes back to Minnesota. Denver don't win game 3, it's over.
Oh, there's no question about that.
It's over.
When is that? When do they play?
Saturday.
Oh, they got a nice layoff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that is a must win for Denver. Must win. And the fact they got game 2 without Rudy Gobert too was even more impressive. But Anthony Edwards, for 22 years old, he's going to get better.
He's going to be spectacular. But Karl Anthony Towns played well.
Yep.
They had some other guys that played very, very well in that first 2 games.
Mm-hmm. With the teams that are left in these playoffs, yes, it's a downer that, no Bucks or anything, but I do appreciate how these teams were built to where they got here too. You look at the Knicks, right? Yes, Jalen Brunson's kind of having a coming out year this year, but, they weren't a team that went and brought in high-priced, veterans. I mean, they built the Thunder, for crying out loud, I think still have 100 first-round draft picks in the next few years. But, they're building you hear these teams saying trust the process and all that, and then they don't. They kind of, jump the gun. I appreciate how a lot of these teams, even the Pacers, for the most part too.
And I think you got to think back, and somebody pointed this out watching the games, and I didn't realize it, but if you think about it, it only stands to reason. You look at who's out and who's in.
Mm-hmm.
LeBron is out. Giannis is out. KD is out. Booker is out. AD is out. All the older
Dame is out.
Dame and all the older teams
Joel Embiid,
are gone. Yeah, Embiid with the 76ers, they're all gone.
Yep.
You look at these young teams, and they're on the come, and they're able to really play good basketball. I think maybe, and again, you can talk about the officiating, Carla. I like the Pacers. I think they're good. They beat the Bucks, but I don't think they're ready. I don't think they know how to win yet in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Halliburton, I know, is hurt a little bit, but he made some key mistakes and turnovers.
They haven't closed out these two games. They could easily be 2-0.
You're right. And I don't think the Pacers know how to win yet.
Mm-hmm. I
think they've got a good nucleus for the future, but I don't think they're there yet. I think that's part of their problem.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with that. I would agree with that. Absolutely.
Yeah. So. They made too many key mistakes that you shouldn't be making. I mean, those were some ball handling errors, some just passing decisions, some shots that were questionable. They're not ready to win yet. I think the Knicks have this series going away. I mean, you can bet it's going to be hostile for Game 3. It's probably going to be one of the most watched games
over in Indiana. Yeah,
in this third game.
Yep.
Because of Carlisle, the officiating, a lot of reasons. But I think that third game is going to be really, really watched.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So coming up on the schedule tonight for the NBA playoffs, you've got Cleveland at Boston for Game 2, and then Dallas at OKC for Game 2. So I misspoke. It's not Saturday, by the way. It's Friday, tomorrow night, for Denver and Minnesota. So because tomorrow it's going to be New York at Indiana again, and then Denver at Minnesota. So Denver, Minnesota, still nice little break there, but they got started off before everybody in the second round. They had the first game. So,
and you think about it too, the officials do swallow their whistle, as you said, but that game where the Denver coach didn't get kicked out, and Murray threw the heating pad on the court. I mean, somebody could have gotten seriously hurt.
Yeah, he could. Yep.
They'd have stepped on that and slipped, and who knows, been gone.
Yep.
Danger. That's just stupid.
Yep.
And the officials and even the commissioner didn't suspend Murray. We're in the playoffs. You give them a little leeway. Maybe that way it's fine. But you shouldn't be changing the way the game is refereed.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Patrick Beverley, by the way, could be even in more trouble right now. Apparently the police are now investigating the incident where he threw that ball a couple times at a fan in Game 6 against the Pacers here. So they're not going into too much detail other than that the detectives are now investigating that scenario, which, talk about another stupid and dumb whatever words we want to use to describe. I mean, come on, man. Really? I mean, jeez.
Yeah, you got to control your emotions.
Yeah. I mean, that was just...
The world's watching.
Right. Exactly. I mean, you don't think nobody's going to see you do that? Not once, but twice for crying out loud?
I mean, there's not a place in those stadiums that a camera doesn't watch.
Right.
Like out thought he was going to sneak that out of that way. Well, it was... I mean, the bench was on camera.
Yeah.
And they saw that. I mean, got a perfect picture of him throwing that on the floor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get it. Human emotions and, moments like that, but
you got to have more self-control.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's take a quick break here. We're going to switch it up and chat a little Jordan Love, CBSSports.com. Joel Curry he's a former agent, but he's got an article up. Agents take why Packers Jordan Love has a case to become the NFL's highest paid player. We'll discuss what a potential extension for Jordan Love could look like coming up after this quick break. Perhaps the next biggest decision, next thing to mark off on the to-do list for Green Bay at this point in time is going to be to figure out a new contract for one Mr. Jordan Love. Now that he is eligible after that 1 year passed, because after he signed that deal last year to avoid the fifth year pickup, he signed that 2 year deal, kind of meeting in the middle there. But rules say that you have to wait a year before you can do another contract, and that's why now he is eligible to sign a contract extension with the Packers, and now everybody's just kind of on Jordan Love watch, if you will. So, how much could he potentially make? How much could he potentially make? Well, Joel Curry from CBS Sports has an article out, and Joel Curry is a former agent, so he kind of gives a perspective from an agent's take here, and it's titled "Why Jordan Love Has a Case to Become the NFL's Highest Paid Player with a Potential Extension." Will that mean that he is going to be the highest paid player? We don't know, but and I know there's going to be a good amount of fans probably saying he doesn't deserve a big contract right away after 1 year and such.
After half a year.
After a half year, but that's for comparison's sake. Aaron Rodgers became the fourth highest paid player after 7 games in his first year. And it's whatever the market dictates at this point. So it's not always the case that the best player is the highest paid player.
No, and it's to the point where now a lot of these every time a quarterback upper echelon, he's got to be the highest paid player in the league. There's no negotiation type of thing. He highest paid player in the league. Is he the best player? He's not better than Mahomes.
Right.
He's not better than some other guys in the league. I mean, he's up there, getting up there. Like a half a year, he showed that he's a great quarterback, and I'm glad he's playing for the Packers. But should he be the highest paid player in the game? That's a big debate.
Yeah. So, and to go off of that, as Joel says here, there's a school of thought that Love doesn't have enough of a track record for the Packers to make a massive financial commitment to him. But Rodgers had a smaller body of work when he was given his first veteran contract. The Packers signed him to a 5-year extension back in November, and 7 games into his fourth season, his first year as a starter, at the beginning of November in 2008. The deal made Rodgers the NFL's 4th or 5th highest paid player, depending on interpretation. Again, it's how do you interpret the contract? Is it per year? Is it signing bonus? Is it guaranteed money? You can look at it different ways over there. Different players, different representation view it differently. So, as Joel says here, Love and Rodgers were comparable statistically in their 4th NFL season. When you look at it, Love played 17 games. Remember, back then, kind of weird to say, back then was only 16 when Rodgers played. But when you look at it, Jordan Love had a better completion percentage, 64.2 compared to Rodgers' 63.6. Love had more yards. Again, another game to add on there. Love threw for 32 touchdown passes, Rodgers 28. Love 11 interceptions, Rodgers 13. Quarterback rating, Love 96.1, Rodgers 93.8. The records 9-8, Rodgers 6-10. The biggest difference is Love took a major step forward over the second half of the season that translated into team success. He completed 70.3% of his passes for over 2,000 yards with 18 touchdowns and just 1 interception to post a 112.7 passer rating, while the Packers went 6-2 to secure a playoff berth. For me, I think the biggest, we know he's going to get paid. I mean, I don't think that should surprise anybody. He's going to get a contract. To me,
a nice
contract. I'll be curious to see the length of the contract because, like Justin Herbert's contract was a 5-year, and normally it's 5-year. Would Green Bay try to be creative? And I'm not saying he's going to get the same as this guy, but when Patrick Mahomes signed his deal, it was a 10-year deal. Remember, it was that 10-year contract, got a lot of money, and now you got people saying, well, he's kind of underpaid now compared to what, he's done. Would Green Bay do a longer-term commitment? Might be a little bit of a riskier, but potentially it would get to that point where Jordan Love's underpaid, or would they do a 5-year commitment? That's where I'm kind of curious, the length of the deal.
Yeah, I don't know. But the thing is, they always got these opt-out. Team can opt out or the player can opt out.
That's mostly in baseball, not really the NFL.
True.
So,
but I mean, there's so many clauses in there that the average person doesn't understand. he's going to get a big contract. Does he deserve to be the highest paid player in the league? I think most of us would agree no. Should he be in the upper echelon? I think most of us agree yes. But I don't think he should be the highest paid player on what he did at the end of last year.
And again, that's not some, that's negotiation, and that's how the market is right now.
And who understands these salary caps and how they can maneuver all these salary caps along? What about guaranteed money versus how much he's actually paid per year?
Yep. And guaranteed is the biggest thing in that.
How this all works. He's going to get a big contract, and I don't begrudge him that at all. Should he be the highest paid player? Like I said before, I think most of us agree. Probably not. He doesn't deserve that yet, but in the future, who knows? Because they always adjust. If the guy does that, they always adjust him.
Right. Yeah. I mean, after he signs it this year, next year, you're going to hear he converted this to a signing bonus. It clears up cap space, blah, blah, blah. It's going to happen.
Yeah, they always readjust these contracts. Brady did it for years with New England.
The one thing I don't want, and I don't think Green Bay would get to the point to do this at this point in time, don't do what you did with Rodgers' last contract, where it was just one of the weirdest ones out there, but he got a boatload of cash, and then when you moved on from him, you were stuck with a huge dead cap money. I mean, that was just, don't do that. Don't go back to doing that.
No, I hope they've learned their lesson with that.
Now, I know.
I wonder speaking of Rodgers, I wonder what he thinks sitting there. This guy is behind. He's going to be the highest paid player in the league potentially. I wonder what Rodgers, that's got to gall him a little bit.
I don't know.
Knowing Rodgers.
But, and I know there's going to be some fans saying hopefully he takes less for the team, kind of like Tom Brady and that. But I don't know.
I don't think Tom Brady took less for the team. I think Tom Brady maneuvered the money a little bit better than a lot of them have.
Yeah, Tom Brady ain't struggling. Let's just.
Oh, no, he's not at all. He's not worrying about where his next meal's coming from.
And I'm sorry, but if I'm Jordan Love and I had a good year, I'm in my mid-20s or whatever it is, and I got a chance to cash in, I'm going to cash in too.
No,
a lot of us would, right?
No doubt about it.
I mean, I can't fault them.
It's a business.
Exactly.
I mean, it's a business. That's what they always say. I mean, you look at Aaron Jones. It's a business. Packers loved him.
Yep.
Packer fans loved him. He loved Green Bay. But it's a business. He's now a Minnesota Viking.
Yep. Yeah. So, but yeah, I'll be curious to see how, to me, is going to be like the length. Would they try to do a little bit of a longer term and maybe it's kind of similar to Brewers, when they signed Jackson Chourio, big deal. You'd hope that eventually it was like, oh, that's a bargain, or Freddie Peralta. Not saying it'd be a bargain. You're still paying a lot for a quarterback over there, but it's going to happen. It's probably going to happen this year. I can't imagine they wouldn't get it done this year, and then they'd have to franchise tag him next year, because if he goes out and has a really good year and leads a team to a postseason again, I'm sure there's a lot of teams that would be willing to give up 2 first-round picks for Jordan Love. So,
you bet.
If you put a franchise tag on him, and I know there's the non-exclusive and the exclusive tag on there too, but it's going to get done, I think, at this year.
Well, I think so too. I think and that would go a long way to stabilizing this current formula for the Packers to come out as a winner. You got the quarterback's the most important player in your team. You got a solid quarterback, is going to be here. You build around his strengths. And I think that's what they're able to do now. And I don't think they're going to jeopardize that. There'll be a lot of discussion about this contract, but I think they'll get it done without really a whole lot of problems.
Yeah. Talking about the length here, I see this here says that, and this is his opinion, Love should want to give up no more than 4 new years in his contract. This would allow him to be best positioned for the expected significant salary cap growth in the coming years, thanks to the latest media rights deal, reportedly worth $113 billion over 11 years. That might not be possible after the developments at the top of the quarterback market last year. Giving up 5 new years has become the norm. Burrow, Justin Herbert, and Jalen Hurts each signed 5-year extensions in which their respective contracts added 5 new years. So essentially what they're saying is, he's saying that Love should only sign maybe about 4 years and then get back onto the market where he would get another big deal, because there's going to be a lot more money because of media rights coming through. And again,
Yeah,
that's the business side of
yeah,
it. So
and the business side of it is, I don't want to say ruining sports, but boy, it's making it hard to be a fan.
mhm.
I mean, it really is with the money that's going out now, and then the media rights. What is the media doing? I mean, you're paying more for your cable. You're paying more to be able to watch it, and tickets at the games, the concessions, everything is, it's a major investment if you want to take a family of 4 or 5 to a game,
Mhm.
and that makes it hard.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
they don't expect the fans are ever going to rebel or revolt. And
We
to
haven't.
this point, I was going to say,
Yeah.
to this point, we haven't.
No, we
But
haven't.
how is there a breaking point? I don't know if there's a breaking point or not. But if I think right now, if I was offered Packers season tickets, I'd have to think about it.
I was on a list and I was getting postcards, but then they stopped sending them to me. So I don't know if they lost my name, but I'll be honest with you, I'm okay with it if they did lose my name because I don't
Well,
know if I could invest into that.
and that's what it is. It's
Yeah.
an investment. It's
Mhm.
not recreational money like you're going out on the weekends
Yep.
and playing golf and then going to the 19th hole for a burger and a beer or two after the round.
Mhm.
You go to a ball game, Bucks game, Packer game, Brewer game, it's an investment.
And the thing is like, and maybe it's just me, but if I get those season tickets, I want to try to go to the majority of the games.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm sure you're like that with your Badger ones. You want to go to the majority of
Yep,
ones if you
yep,
can.
yep.
I don't want to like, okay, I'm going to take these and just go to one and sell the others and make a profit. That's not what I want to do. Like if I'm a season ticket holder, I want to try to go as much as possible.
Yeah, I don't, and then I've sold my tickets once years ago when Nebraska was first coming into the league, and everybody in Nebraska is going to
Yeah.
tear this league apart, and they played at Wisconsin.
Is that
And
like
I sold
2010 or something like that, or
something like
09?
that.
Yeah.
And I sold my tickets at that time for $300 a piece.
Yeah.
And I thought, man, that pays for my seat license for the whole year because the seat license was $600 for the 2 seats.
Mm-hmm.
So I paid for my seat license, and because that to me is, it's almost like the Boston Tea Party, taxation with no representation. I mean, they just established a seat license, and you got to pay it. You don't have anything to say about it
Mm-hmm.
to protect your seat. And that to me is like the Boston Tea Party. And so that's the only time I've ever sold my tickets.
Yeah.
And because I do like going to the games.
Yep.
Enjoy the atmosphere.
Exactly.
Whether it be a Packer game or a Badger game or even a Brewer game, the Brewers on that parking lot before the game, the people are just having fun.
Yes.
And they really are enjoying the experience.
Yep.
And, they're smart. They're eating before they go into the game.
Yep.
They're not spending a lot of money at the concessions, maybe a drink, but you can't afford a beer. The beer is $12, $13 a piece.
Yeah.
You can't take a bunch of guys, it used to be when we were kids, you'd go have a beer every other inning.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you did that now, you'd be spending, 3 or 4 guys with you, you'd spend $300-$400 at least.
That's why we appreciate you, the Express, for your dollar beer nights.
Exactly. Fun at the old ballpark.
Yep.
But here starts at home at Carson Park.
Yep.
But it is. And whether the fans will ever revolt, I don't know. We all talk about it, how frustrating it is that costs go up and up and up and up all the time. But will we? I don't know.
I don't think
I doubt
we will.
it. I don't think we will either.
Nope. I don't. All right.
We love the games too much.
Exactly. And I'm glad you said too the experience, because I know a lot of people, they'll stay home and that's fine. But I still like that experience once in a while too.
I mean, there's nothing better than going. Well, anybody's been to Lambeau Field or American Family Field. I've never been to the Pfizer Forum yet, but you go to it's so much nicer to be in the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. I mean, it's just a different atmosphere, and what goes on during the timeouts. I always take binoculars along, especially Lambeau Field, and look around and see what's going on, because there's a lot of things happening. I have to watch the sidelines, the coaches talking to the players or whatever. You can't necessarily see in the dugouts in a baseball game, but in football, the benches are out there in front of God and everybody, so you can see everything that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So the in-person experience is, I was going to say, is worth it, but it's getting harder and harder to justify being worth it with these prices.
Texter said Packers are scheduled for too many late and primetime games to go to. Most of them signed a season ticket holder. Well, you know why?
Probably from this part of the state. That's a long.
Well, yeah,
trip.
but you know why they're scheduled for primetime games? They're
good.
They're
They're good.
They're good.
Yeah,
So
they're expecting them to be very good.
That's why, and they're a very popular team. So,
Oh, there's no question. And then to show Lambeau Field, and it's
mhm.
always fun to go to Lambeau Field and talk to people who've never been there before.
Yep.
You know, from opposing teams that'll be coming in there, and they said this is so much more fun. Their stadium, wherever it might be, is in a lot of these new stadiums in the cities are so sanitized and so this, that, and the other thing. And Lambeau Field, you still have the tailgating experience. You got the bars that are, right there opening up, and they just love Lambeau Field.
Yeah. I mean, remember, with Lions last year, I mean, it was like some of their first primetime games in like how
Oh yeah,
long?
yeah.
I mean, their main ones used to be just Thanksgiving for the
That
majority
was it.
part.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
And they got good, and now they're
And yeah, and for some reason they always played better. That was their best game of the year. It always seemed like on Thanksgiving Day.
mhm.
Well, we'll go way back to the Bart Starr years
Yeah.
when they manhandled the Packers,
Yep.
and they weren't worth a darn otherwise.
Yep. Exactly. All right, let's take a quick break, and we'll finish up the second hour with a little receive or defer after these quick words. All right, last call for any questions for Mr. Jake Boakes, our conservation warden buddy. He'll be joining us at 8:30 this morning. Text your questions on over to 715-830-1912. Let's finish up the second hour with a little receiver to fur, and I will give you first up. You're up on the tee first.
I don't know how to word this as a receiver to fur, but I was just thinking as we were talking about the playoffs and teams, NBA teams in our area. Question, I guess, and I don't know if this is going to happen, but the question crossed my mind: who will leave their current team first, Giannis or Anthony Edwards?
Um,
And I don't know if either one will. But the way this league goes and the money that they throw around, Giannis said he's happy over in Milwaukee, and you got to believe him. And Anthony Edwards is such a young player at Minnesota. Would they ever let him go? I mean, that's like, they're talking about Jordan. They're comparing him to Jordan.
Yeah.
The Bulls would never let Jordan go.
The only thing I would say with Minnesota would be like, with their ownership group over there, would that make Anthony Edwards nervous? I know a lot of sports fans don't
A-Rod and some of those guys, isn't it?
No, there's disputes going on with that.
Oh, is there? Okay,
yeah, there's the whole Glenn Taylor dispute with A-Rod, and that they're going to arbitration and all that because there's drama. This was from about a month or so ago that A-Rod and his partner were making payments. Glenn Taylor said they were late making payments, so he revoked the deal and all that. So they're going back and forth.
Oh, boy, I wasn't aware of all that.
Yeah, so there's that drama going on over there. So,
but I just think with Glenn Taylor, he kept Karl Anthony Towns, but I don't know if
Luke don't like him. I know that.
I was going to say, and a lot of people don't. And I think, then if he maintains ownership, of course, he's looking at now, he's got a pretty darn good team, and he's going to be right in the playoffs to the bitter end, it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
But will he reward Anthony Edwards? I would say no. And I think I'd say Edwards here based on what you just told me.
Gosh, it's tough, but yeah, maybe. I don't know. That's a tough one, man.
And the reason I don't think Giannis going to, because Giannis has had such a input into this team.
That's the thing too, yeah, and might maybe much to the detriment of it too.
Well,
at
that's
some
possible
points.
Too, but still in all, is he going to leave town because he's frustrated with the way the Bucks have performed? Hey, man, it's your team,
right? Exactly.
You brought these guys in. You're the one that hasn't stayed healthy. I mean, I love Giannis. I'm just sitting on the side, throwing things out that are part of the equation.
Mm-hmm.
He was part of this, developing this team. Does he look at it that way, or does he blame? Would he? I don't say he is. Would he blame the Bucks for not getting him?
I would hope not, because
I would hope not too.
I mean, you look at the last couple of years, playoff exits. Giannis was hurt. I would hope he realizes, I was probably a factor in not getting deep into postseason because of my health. Not to say it's his fault for getting hurt, but that's. You not being on the court isn't anybody else's fault. It's not the Bucks' fault. It's not, boy, that's a good one. I'm still struggling with that one. I might put Anthony Edwards just because I don't know if I trust the ownership part.
I was going to say, with you telling me that, that's where I put Anthony Edwards would be the first one to leave.
But they would be absolutely dumb to do that.
Oh,
it would have to be if he doesn't want to be there. That would have to be the reason. No, I ain't doing it.
But it sounds like he enjoys being over there. I mean, they got a nice team.
Yep.
So
already a leader, it sounds like too. So,
but it's something you have to keep an eye on.
Yep.
Especially now, based on the ownership situation.
T-Wolves fans, now you're going through what Bucks fans were going through with Giannis. Is he going to stay or is he going to go? Sort of thing.
Exactly, because I think he is more of a difference maker for that team than Karl Anthony Towns. As good as Karl Anthony, because I don't say Karl Anthony Towns is great. He's very, very good, but I think Anthony Edwards has a chance to be really great.
Yep, I would agree. All right, what else you got over there?
Well, receiver to fur, based on a whole bunch. This is the Joker's last MVP.
I'll receive.
Yeah, I will too. I just think the guys that finished second, Anthony Edwards wasn't even in the discussion this year. I think the whole thing is going to change the scenario. Giannis hopefully is healthy next year. I just think this is probably the Joker's last.
With that, I'm going to
And I
piggyback
like the
off that.
Joker.
Yep, I'm going to piggyback off that because this was one of mine. Receiver defer is the Joker, already a top 25 NBA player of all time.
Oh boy, I'd have to sit down and run that through my mind, but I think he's close if he's not.
Mm-hmm. Top 50 at least.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's in between 25 and 50 right now.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, and who knows? We could be all wrong, and next year he could
win another one, and then he's with
numbers
LeBron
up that we've never seen before.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. So, all right, you got another one?
No, that'll do it for now.
I thought you had a little bit more than that.
Well, I'm going to let you get involved in today.
Well, thank you. No, that was the Joker one I was going to bring up a little bit earlier. Do you think he's already kind of, into that's elite category when you're putting yourself next to Larry Bird and Magic Johnson and Wilt Chamberlain, Moses Malone? I feel like people kind of forget about Moses Malone a little bit. When you say Malone, everybody just goes to Karl Malone now. But Moses was pretty special back in the day too.
He was a force.
Yeah.
But that's when the middle was part of the game. The toaster, as Eddie Doucette, the Bucks old announcer, used to say, in the toaster. But now they don't play in the toaster.
Right.
They really don't.
Yeah. Receive or defer with the Bucks. Excuse me. Receiver defer, considering what we're seeing right now in this postseason with some guard play, their biggest decision or their biggest need this offseason is going to be another guard to go up with Damian Lillard. We're seeing Jalen Brunson. We're seeing Anthony Edwards. We're seeing Tyrese Halliburton. A lot of those guard plays in this postseason. That should be the biggest need for the Bucks is a running mate in the backcourt for Damian Lillard this offseason.
I see that because who knows where Beverly's going to be.
Malik Beasley,
Middleton. He's physically challenged. Yeah, I think so too. But it's got to be a two-way guard. It's got to be a guy that can play defense.
Yeah.
Because you can't just have an offensive player. You got to have a guy that can play defense.
It's just I'm glad to see some of the guard, and I know, like, I'm still old school. I like the big mans and that sort of stuff. But I mean, you look at this postseason, you look at some of the teams, and yes, the Joker is over there with Denver. But when Denver won their playoff series, it was Jamal Murray making some big shots, right? With the Lakers, Anthony Edwards is a guard, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. We mentioned Brunson, Tyrese Halliburton. It's been kind of guard play right now at this point in time. And yes, Boston. I mean, it's Tatum's a forward, but you still got Brown over there as part of the backcourt with Drew Holiday and such. But Donovan Mitchell with Cleveland, he's kind of the main guy over there too. So really focusing on guard play, it seems like, in the NBA.
Oh, there's no question about it. The guards are coming back, 3-point line. I mean, you watch this. Guys are onto the basket with the ball. They're looking to throw it out to. I mean, these guys.
How many guys are driving a lane and kicking it back out there?
Yeah, they're all doing that. I mean, it used to be. What did the coach say? Go to the backboard. Go to the back. Now distribute yourself around the 3-point line. So whoever gets it can throw it out to you. I mean, that's just the way the game is being played now.
Right.
I mean, how many times did I watch the games the last couple of days where I thought, oh, a guy's got a shot at the free throw line. No, he kicks it out to a guy standing outside the 3-point line so they can shoot. And these guys are getting very proficient at shooting the 3-pointer.
Yeah.
I don't care how big they are.
Well, I was going to say, you have to, I mean, if you want to be a big in the league, you at least got to shoot a 3, right?
Oh, you do. You have to. Absolutely.
Receiver defer, who would you want on your team right now? Victor Wembanyama or Chet Holmgren?
Boy, there's a can't-lose proposition, isn't there? I'd take Wemby.
Yeah.
I mean, and I would be head over heels if I got Holmgren. I think they're both.
Top 2 in the Rookie of the Year voting.
Man. And I can't believe Wembanyama was unanimous.
I know, right?
I thought Holmgren would get a few votes for the best Rookie of the Year, but either one of them, they're fun to watch. I mean, it's magnificent and awe-inspiring to watch these guys at their size to do what they can do with their bodies.
Yeah.
I mean, unbelievable. They're both, 7'3" or better.
and they look like
And
sticks.
yeah, oh yeah,
You know.
it's unbelievable. But they can play the game and they're good at it.
Yep, no doubt about it. So I'll be curious to see. Everybody's talking about the Spurs in the offseason, like Trey Young, or they're going to get a guard to pair up. Like that's going to be a big time location for somebody to go to and pair up with Victor. I'll be
Uh,
curious if Popovich is
yeah, I
going to
wonder if
play
he
that game.
wants Trey Young or a guy like I know this Ja Morant from Memphis. That got
Has some
himself in
legal troubles.
some trouble. If he's the kind of guy that could go to San Antonio and play for Popovich, and his behavior would be better.
Yeah.
Because a coach like that doesn't put up with that sort of stuff, and I don't know what he'll do, but I think they will be better next year.
Mm-hmm. All right. I don't have enough time for the next one here, so maybe we'll save it for the past these news updates here. So again, last call for any questions for Jake, so we can send those on over to him right now. Hit us up with a text 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctor's bullpen line for outdoor tidbits. Jake's coming up at 8:30. 8:30. Again, don't forget, if you've had some luck maybe with the fishing opener, send us those photos so we can put them up on the Tilden Gun Trophy Gallery, or turkey hunting still going on too. If you've had any luck, send those so we can add them to the website, sportstalk1051.com/outdoors. Final hour coming up after these news updates. Third hour kicking off right now on this Thursday morning. Coming up in about 25 minutes or so, we'll get to Mr. Boakes, Conservation Warden Jake Boakes. Last call for your questions. Text us 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. We're going to get back to some more baseball chats coming up here as well. Brewers are going to be taking on the Cardinals, game 1 of a 4-game series, getting set to start tonight back at American Family Field, and you're going to be down there for the next couple games?
Yep, plan to tonight and tomorrow night.
Look at you making the way, staying down there, obviously.
Yep,
overnight.
Yep. I'm not going to drive back.
No, that'd be kind of
foolish,
as the kids say. Weather should be okay to tailgate, right? You gonna do a little tailgating, maybe?
We can get down there. Might not be able to get there too early tonight, but tomorrow night is another story. Friday is another story.
At least you know they're gonna play a game, right?
That's exactly right. Going to AmFam Field, you know they're gonna play a game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you know where your seats are at?
I think tonight we're behind down the first base line.
Okay.
Part way.
Nice. All right. Well, bring back some W's, okay?
Well, I hope so.
Wins.
Usually I see a lot of wins for the Brewers when I'm there. So
Now, is this your first Brewer game this year?
First one this year, you bet.
Who are you kind of anxious or curious to see in person? Jackson Cheerio, Bryce Durang, Pat
All
Murphy.
These young guys playing. Yeah, I really am. Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty new roster, and I'm looking to see them in person. I'm anxious to see them. Like I said, it's one of those building teams. It's just building and building and building. Unfortunately, the pitching has gotten hurt. They've done a nice job when they've been able to pitch, but they've gotten hurt, and that's going to be a struggle the rest of the year to find healthy arms.
Absolutely. So we'll get to some baseball talk here in a skosh. We spent some time talking about the Brewers in the first hour.
Yeah, I got a receiver to defer. Pat Murphy. And this is a small sample size, obviously, but it seems to me, well, I shouldn't say that, receiver to fur. Murphy is better at using his non-pitchers than Counsell. I think Counsell is a master at handling the pitching staff, how long they go and when they come out, new relieves for how long. But as far as the non-pitchers, he's better. Murphy is better than
So
Counsell.
It's almost like you're saying Murphy's better as an offensive coordinator than maybe as a defensive coordinator, sort of thing.
Yeah.
I would
not only offense, but where he's got these guys in the field, who's playing where, and this, that, and the other thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I would. I see what you're saying now. Okay. Offensively, I would agree with that.
Yeah, it's more fun to watch this offensive system than Counsell's.
Yeah, I would agree. So it's and the thing is though too, they're all the same assistants Counsell had, same hitting coaches, same pitching coach, which Chris Hook I know is widely respected in that in that organization. When Pat Murphy was hired, we had heard that a lot of the questions from those players were like, is Chris Hook still staying there? He's widely, and look at the job he's done with sometimes, hey, work with these guys.
Yeah.
And he's done a fantastic job with them. He really has.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things, this is what's really neat about this transition in the Brewers is, the roster outside of Cheerio and, Sanchez, a lot of the same players that they had last year outside of the pitching was different. And I think we're seeing that Murphy's trying to get more out of their talent, not restricting them. I don't know if that's a word, but as we talked earlier, Counsell was station to station, get guys on, hit the home run to win the games. Murphy, you get a chance to see how two different managers will affect a team that's basically, a lot the same.
Yeah. So, who has been kind of, I mentioned this the other day, but maybe a surprise all across Major League Baseball for you, team-wise, player-wise. The Oakland A's, to me, are kind of – Mark Kotsay, I think, is doing a fantastic job.
I haven't followed the A's at all. I don't know how they're doing.
They're when they were like almost 500 just a few days ago.
Yeah. Well,
they're above the Astros in their division.
Well, I think the Astros are the team that's surprising me by the way they are starting the season. Not very good.
Yeah. Let me bring up.
From Astros standpoint of the past They've been in the playoffs, last 7, 8 years in a row.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The A's are 18-21. Texas is tops in their division. Then you've got Seattle that's 20-17. Oakland is third in their division, 18-21. Then it's the Angels, and then dead last is Houston. But given everything you were talking about ownership with Minnesota and that all the drama surrounding the A's, I give Mark Kotsay a lot of credit for what he's doing with that team and managing
Where are
the
they
players.
playing?
They're still in Oakland, I believe, right now. So,
but somebody said they've got.
They're going somewhere. Is it next year? That's only got like 10,000, 15. I'm probably exaggerating there a little bit, but
well, that'd probably be a big crowd for Oakland the way they've been drawn because of the ownership situation and the moving and everything else. But
that's where I give them a lot of credit for going out there and winning some ball games right now.
Yeah, and boy, I'll tell you, when they get to Las Vegas, boy, that's going to be a dandy stadium because that's not going to be out in the middle of nowhere. That stadium is going to be pretty much downtown. They're tearing some of those casinos down to build a stadium.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I wonder if those stadiums, I haven't been in the football stadium out there, but I wonder if they got gambling machines in those stadiums. You know, one-armed bandits.
I read.
Or maybe by law they can't. I don't know. Gambling on site.
There was something I thought. Yeah, it was right here. Last March so this would have been in 2023. Yeah. NFL owners, this is NFL. NFL owners voted to allow physical sports books to operate within NFL stadiums. Since the start of the 23 season, teams in legal betting states that meet certain criteria have been permitted to open sports books within their stadiums. So I thought there was some stadiums that had that. So
I know that I saw an advertisement, or not an advertisement, but a program on the casino over at Green Bay by Austin Straubel Airport. They're going to have one of the biggest sports books in the country. And that's going to be something to see too. It also brings up a point with gambling and all the other things that are being allowed now. Should Pete Rose be in the Hall of Fame?
It's kind of, is it comparable to, now Reggie Bush got his Heisman back, right? Because they changed everything in college sports, so they gave it back to him.
But that's kind of apples. And, the thing with Rose, and why I would say probably not, because he bet on baseball.
Mm-hmm.
To bet on football or basketball or something, that's insignificant as far as this conversation. But Rose bet on baseball. It's just like
I guess where I'm getting at is like, since the rules changed.
Yeah, but I don't think they've changed that. I don't think players can still not bet on baseball in their own sport. So that might be the sticking point to keep him out. Because what Porter, the kid that plays for Denver, his brother kicked out of the NBA forever.
Oh, the Toronto player?
Yeah. For betting on basketball, evidently.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, look at the NFL last year. Some guys got suspended for a whole year.
Yeah.
For betting, and Calvin Ridley, remember, got suspended for a whole year too. So
I don't know if Rose, because he bet on baseball, they haven't changed that rule.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even think they'll bend it. And his attitude is probably part of the reason he won't get in. But you got to question this. I mean, we're kind of, we had sports earlier had the moral high ground.
Yeah.
Now it's the almighty dollar that is ruling. And if gambling is going to be part of the reason that they can continue to get more and more revenue into their sports, they're not going to turn their back on gambling anymore. They're not going to be hypocritical.
So let me throw out a comparison, a little bit of an older school one here, but Paul Hornung got suspended for gambling.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I know it.
Is that
that brings up a good question, and I can't say off the top of my head. And so is Alex Karras.
Yep.
They both got suspended the same year.
Former Lions player.
Yeah.
Yep.
And now, did they bet on football?
Let me see if I can.
I don't know what their charge was. Their gambling, was it on football? And that's a good point. I never thought of that. But does football play by different rules, so to speak, when it comes to gambling than baseball? But baseball has been, you do not gamble on our game.
It was football.
There you go.
Yep. It says here, this is from ESPN Classic, an article from April 17th, 1963. Paul Hornung and Alex Karras probably would have taken money that they would have taken even money that they would never be suspended for betting on NFL games, but they would have lost that wager as NFL Commissioner Pete Rozelle suspends the two stars indefinitely for betting on league games and associating with gamblers for, quote, known hoodlums.
So could baseball use that as a reason, an explanation, an excuse to put Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame? I don't, the Hall of Fame, even in the Veterans Committee still has to vote you in. Even the Veterans Committee wouldn't vote him in. So, will they change the parameters for him getting into the Hall? But even if they change the parameters, would the Veterans Committee vote him in? I don't know. It'd be a interesting discussion to talk to some of those older voters.
Mm-hmm. Here's a little nugget I'd never heard about before, but Pete Rozelle also fined 5 other Detroit Lions, Joe Schmidt, Wayne Walker, John Gordy, Gary Lowe, and Sam Williams, $2,000 each for betting $50 on the Packers in the 62 championship game against the Giants. Since the Packers covered the 6-point spread, beating the Giants 16-7, the players are $1,950 losers.
Which at that time was a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah. But I just thought that was an interesting nugget they would put in that article right there, too. So
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
That's news to me.
Yep. Yeah.
Because those were, Wayne Walker and Joe Schmidt, those guys were stable or stalwarts on that Lions team at that time.
Yep. So,
but I think it brings up point of discussion. If Horning and Karras can go in the Football Hall of Fame, why can't Rose go in the Baseball Hall of Fame for gambling on his sport?
Yeah, is that probably the best comparison?
I think so.
I'm trying to think of another one out there that, 2 guys that got suspended for a year, they came back and played, and yeah, they're in the Hall of Fame.
But Porter's brother's been banned for life.
Mm-hmm. And he's not going to be a Hall of Famer.
Well, no, he's not going to be a Hall of Famer, but
Yeah.
just think of the income he's throwing away by being in the NBA. Those guys don't make chump change for salaries. They make some pretty good salaries.
Say he's not on the path right now, but say a guy like Calvin Ridley, the wide receiver, just next 8 years puts up astronomical numbers and he's a Hall of Fame career type. Would they put him in even though he got suspended for a year? They did for Paul Horning.
Yeah,
so.
I think they would. Paul Horning and Karras. I think they would.
Mm-hmm. So, that's kind of interesting.
The thing is, it's baseball. It's the old time players that are Hall of Fame that are on the Veterans Committee, and the sanctity, the purity of the game means so much to them. This is how we did it in our day, and we're comparing you to our day. In the pro football, there are a lot of writers and non-players that have a say in that. So, there's little tweaks that make it a difference.
Do you buy the narrative that's kind of out there too, that because Pete Rose lied is a big reason too why he's there? Like the reason that he lied a couple times is maybe why that's the driving force he's not still eligible?
Well, that's what I say. Even if they'd say, well, Horning and Karras are in the NFL Hall of Fame, they gamble on their sports. Rose should be excused because he bet on baseball, and now we allow so much gambling. But I think you're right. His attitude and the way he handled it was very detrimental to his situation. I think a lot of people just do not like Pete Rose over and above all accomplishments that he did on the field.
Mm-hmm.
He's just not a likable guy.
Right. That's what I'm kind of wondering there too. Yeah, we cared, other guys getting into the Hall of Fame because they're good with the media.
Mm-hmm.
Or they maybe get in a little bit earlier than expected because they're good with the media.
Oh, yeah.
Sort of thing. That's where I was kind of curious how A-Rod, that whole thing would go, because he's all over the place in the media now too, trying to, get in the good graces of voters, if you will. But I don't think that's anytime soon.
I don't think so either. But again, it's baseball writers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how he treated them when he was a player. And so I don't think he's ever going to get in.
I don't want to say never, but I don't know. It ain't looking like it.
I'd say it's 80-20.
I'd probably buy that. Yeah. And is that right? I get it. It's a personal, it's probably your personal thoughts.
It's a personal thought, but is it right? I don't think we can say that. What are the voters? They're the ones that have to make that decision in their minds.
Mm-hmm. Gosh, that's just weird. I'm trying to think of like a football player.
Barry Bonds.
Yeah.
And you think of all the guys that are going to be, Roger Clemens, are they ever going to see the Hall of Fame? I doubt it.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think, and I know it's probably not as big of a deal as it is in baseball, but I'm trying to think of another athlete in a different sport whether it was like football or basketball, that was caught for performance enhancers and suspended, but were they not in the Hall of Fame because of that? You know what I'm getting at? I'm trying to think of it. I know it's bigger in baseball.
How about the
And
bicycle guy, Lance? That won
oh, yeah,
he won the Tour de France.
Mhm.
I don't know, multiple
6
times,
times, wasn't it?
multiple times. And I don't know if they have a cycling Hall of Fame, but what he did was defiant. Even after they proved that he was using performance enhancing drugs, he denied it. Went rode more Tour de France's and still used those kind of drugs. I mean, that guy was defiant. What was his
Lance
name?
Armstrong.
Lance, thank you.
Yep.
And he to this day still is defiant.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he deserves to be in there.
Yeah,
and his attitude is, well, I mean, he was a dynamic abuser of the drugs, but
seven times, not
7
6.
times.
Yeah,
But he, and that's coming up again this summer. It's always fun to watch. But man, oh man, to win that 7 times is unbelievable, and to do it the way he did it is more unbelievable.
Yeah,
and
no, 7 consecutive times.
Yeah, and to continue to deny that he did it, it's hard to believe.
I will say though too, like
won.
without him and that run he had, until you just
Popularity.
mentioned it, yeah, I kind of forgot that it was coming up.
Yeah, July they
July.
ride that. Yeah,
because I remember as a kid it would be on, I think it was like Outdoor Life Network or something like that, like the race, like stages of the race or something like that.
Now it's on a pretty strong network wherever it is, but
Mm-hmm.
and it's fun to watch because I kill it. They go uphill 30 miles an hour.
Well, and like ESPN on the bottom would have updates,
Yeah,
like where he was
yeah.
at and what stage, and
Yep.
and
He made it mainstream.
Mm-hmm. And it would be like, well, he's in 50th place, but then you'd have these people on to explain that's actually a good thing because, this is the hill stage, and then he's really, so and so is like they really broke it down, and now you don't hear a ton about it.
No, you don't, because we haven't had an American at that level since.
Right.
We had good riders, but not at the level of winning the Tour de France.
So my question is, so that's usually in July?
Usually, I believe that's when it is.
Stupid question. Olympics are in Paris, same time.
Yeah, I don't know what the schedule will be. I don't know.
Right? It's in Paris. Yeah.
Yeah,
Paris,
Paris is but I think the Olympics start in June.
Is it June? I couldn't remember.
I don't know the exact dates, but I think they're in June, and I assume they'll be over by the time the Tour de France goes on.
Olympics, July 26th.
Oh, wow. Well, maybe
through August 11th.
Tour de France must be earlier than that.
Tour de France is June 29th through July 21st. So France is going to be busy for the summer.
Cutting it close.
Very much so. So, but
is that a bucket list for you to go to the Olympics?
Maybe just to say I've been to an Olympics.
Yeah.
But if you were to ask me which event, I'd almost want to do track and field, because when I think of Summer Olympics, I think of track and field.
So do I. I think most people do.
Would it be cool to go see, like basketball and USA versus Spain or but when I think of Summer Olympics, I think of outside and I think of track and field. Like, I mean, when the 96 Olympics was there in Atlanta, that's when I would get Sports Illustrated. I mean, I've got covers still from that one.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, Johnson and everybody. So I still think of that was kind of like my first Olympics I remember watching as a 9-10-year-old. So that's why I still have it in my mind that when I think about Summer Olympics, it's track and field. So I'd probably want to go to that just to say I was there.
And you wonder, is it still the world event it always has been because of the Russians and their doping scandals, and the Chinese have been accused of the same thing with their gymnasts and people like that, and probably our own team, same thing. So I don't know if it's as prestigious as it used to be. I mean, you got an Olympic gold medal, you're pretty special.
Mm-hmm.
But still in all, I don't know. It just when I was younger, I really, really focused on watching the Olympics.
Yeah, like I used to really get into it when I was younger too.
Yeah.
And this year I'll be watching like Kenny Bednarik. You got a local tie over there, and I'll be paying attention to that and seeing how he does. And that's cool when you have that local tie, or somebody or know of somebody that's in it. So it draws you in that way. But I'll be honest with you, like I'm not geeked up about basketball. I know they
No,
unveiled their team and cool and that, but it's like I'm not that geeked up about it. I'm not that excited to watch it.
no,
Yeah.
because if they don't win, it's egg on our face.
Mhm.
Because these, even Joel Embiid, who came from someplace in Africa, he said, "I'm not playing for them. I'm playing for the United States. This is my home."
Mhm.
So if they don't win, or if
I
they don't
almost
win,
want the drama, so I watch because like I started watching again when Coach K
yeah,
came
yeah,
on there
yeah.
and Kobe and all that. That's what got me to watch it because they were just so down for a while. I guess for me, it's like I just expect them to win now,
Well, if
sort of
all
thing.
these guys play, I mean, we've
Mhm.
had Olympic. I think was it the last Olympics or whatever that all these guys opted out, and so we didn't have a very good team. We didn't win.
Or remember Middleton? Well, Middleton and Holiday were on that team, and they won gold.
Yeah, but I mean, maybe a two Olympics
Maybe the
away or whatever,
22
something like
summer
that.
games
I
or
don't
something
know,
like that. Yeah.
but a lot of these guys opted out. We didn't win, and so now all these guys, hopefully, will quiet the detractors, and the United States will go over there and dominate. I mean, they'll never have another team like the Dream Team,
Mhm.
but they should be awfully good. I'd like to coach that team. Who's my starting five?
Yeah.
What do you do?
Guy that Kerr's coaching it.
Yeah, I know he's coaching, but who's my starting five? Is Seth Curry? How much of a part is Seth Curry going to have in this thing with all these other guys that are coming on? It's
Yeah.
going to be quite a challenge for Steve Kerr to, he's under a lot of pressure. You got to win. You have no other
Yeah.
choice but to win.
Mhm. I'd agree with
So
that.
I don't know how he's going to. I don't know how he's going to play two 5-man squads and then a couple other substitutes here and there.
And I mean,
I don't
I would
know.
think the guys on that team would know their roles too. I mean, it's the Olympics, that sort of stuff. So, but if you have not watched, I know it came out either last year or a couple years ago. There was the Redeem Team documentary on Netflix that was with Coach K and LeBron and that. It's a really good documentary, but they talked about pretty much the missing element was kind of like Kobe coming on the team, and not just from a talent standpoint. It was just
The notoriety,
well
the
the
name
leadership
recognition, yeah, leadership, it's all part of it.
because they would talk these guys like LeBron and Dwayne and Carmelo and whatever would talk about like Kobe's in the gym like 2 hours before everybody showed up to practice and he's already drenched in sweat and I loved the story he told when they were playing against Spain and his teammate and good friend Paul Gasol was on Spain. And to set the tone right away, Kobe knew what play they were going to run. He's like, I'm going to run through Paul Gasol because Paul's going to set a pick. And the guys are like, but that's your teammate. Not in this one, he's not. And he plowed into him and knocked him down. Like he ran through the screen. Like Paul was setting a pick.
Yep.
Kobe bulldozed him over. And it was like that message was says like, okay, this is what we're supposed to do. But it's like that, kind of it was Jordan-esque a little bit.
Yeah, that's what you have to do in this
Mhm.
competition.
Because I can't remember who it
It's
was
not
too.
an exhibition, it's a competition.
Because there was another, I can't remember who it was, but they said they would be coming back from going out in the hotel room. They're walking in. Kobe's leaving to go work out as they're coming back from going out at night.
Dinner and
He's heading out to go work out and practice. There's not many guys like that
set
anymore, I
him
don't think.
apart. That's
Yep.
right. He was one of the best.
Yep. All right, let's take a break. We'll switch gears here a little bit and talk to Jake Boakes, our conservation warden buddy, after these quick words.
Chicago. Even worse, identity theft victims often don't even know they're victims. That's why Lifelock Identity Theft Protection alerts you to identity threats, even the ones that don't show up on a credit report, like a data breach, fraudulent bank transactions, loan and credit card applications, and crimes committed in your name. If your identity is stolen, your own dedicated Lifelock US based restoration specialist will work to fix it. Lifelock protects you in ways you simply can't on your own. Join now and save up to 25% off your first year at lifelock.com. Promo code Patrick. That's promo code Patrick. Save 25% at lifelock.com. Identity theft protection starts here.
If you need bold banners to boost your business, but you're on a budget, think Staples. Posters, flyers, signs, and menus for less? Think Staples. Staples can print anything you need to move your business forward. Now at Staples, save $50 on your print purchase of $150 or more. Same-day service available on hundreds of items if you order by noon. And all backed by Staples' Print Perfect guarantee. So it's done right or it's printed again free. Staples, your local print and marketing expert. N61, visit staples.com/print for details.
Because you have high standards and won't settle for anything less, like your wife did. It's the Dan Kasper Show. Answering your questions and giving you the tips you need to be successful and safe in the outdoors. It's time for your outdoor tidbits. Have a question you'd like answered by Jake? Send it to us, and we'll ask for you.
It is time for our outdoor tidbits with our good buddy, Mr. Jake Boakes, who is joining us on the phone this fine Thursday morning. Jake, how you doing, bud? Not too bad, buddy. Not too bad. Hey, how did the opening weekend go last week for fishing around here for you? Mm-hmm.
Hey, Jake, I'm not a fisherman. I was thinking, the ice fishing wasn't the best this year. We didn't have a lot of good ice. What does that mean for like now we're in the open water fishing, obviously, but what does that mean? So we can expect a lot more fish to be available because they weren't taken through the ice this year? Or do you monitor that, or is it just nature?
Jake, I know we had some, different timing wise for like, different species and such. Is there anything new or anything, I guess, opening up, or is it everything pretty much uh free? I don't want to say free for the taking, but anything, anything opening up, go get them all. Okay. We still got spring turkey going on too, and you sent me an interesting nugget about some turkey hunters out there too. Hmm.
Jake, I've had people ask me, and I don't know, the confiscated birds, deer, whatever. What do you do with those? Mm-hmm.
All right.
So, do you have a partnership with professional processors, or if they won't take it, they throw that carcass away? What do they do with it?
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Because you've dropped off deer at our good friends at Mike Star Market before too, right? Absolutely.
Reach out to them.
Jake, speaking of deer here quickly, because it's fawn season too, right? So I'm sure a lot of people are going to be
Oh yeah.
seeing fawns out there. So what would be, because you don't want to touch a fawn if you see it, right? I mean, so what's kind of maybe if
Correct.
you see a fawn by itself, what should people do? Would you leave it alone? Because I got to mention, mom's probably not too far away.
Yeah. So the saying the DNR has is keep wildlife wild. So if you ever think of that, you see something, a baby bird, a baby deer, a baby muskrat, whatever. Keep wildlife wild. So the best case scenario for any animal is that you leave it alone, you give it space, you let the mom come in at night or during the day or when no one's around and take care of the animal or move it. Now, if it's a fawn and it's laying on the sidewalk along, downtown Eau Claire or something like that, which I've had before, where the mom gave birth literally like on Water Street almost.
Wow.
Then we have to help that animal, get away from there so it can be safe. But typically, we can't rehab deer, and there's only like one place in the state that takes fawns, and after once fawns start dropping it seems like that place fills up in like a day or two. So we like to try to just leave them alone. What we tell everyone is leave it alone. If it's in your backyard, just, don't let your dogs go and harass it. Usually the mom comes in at night to move them or feed them. If you have it in a fenced-in yard, make sure at night you leave one of the doors open to your fence so they can get out. It seems like lately, the last couple of years, I've been going to houses where the fawn's in there and people call me like it won't leave, but they don't open a door for it to leave during the nighttime. But the best thing to do is just leave it alone. The moms are usually in the area, and basically once we get involved, it's a lot less chance of survival, unfortunately, for these animals, just because sometimes they can be rehabbed, sometimes they can't. Sometimes if they get moved, then they don't have, a parent to help raise them and stuff like that. So just keep them wild.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like I know they're cute and that, but don't pick them up and touch them because then they got that human scent on there, right? And then mom might not want to come by it again.
Yeah, I don't know. I was reading some stuff. I was reading some documents last year that there's scent, there's not scent. There's different things about it. At the end of the day, when humans touch them, whether or not that imprints are scent on them or not, what it truly does, especially if that mom is in the area, is like the moms, deer see us as predators. So the second we go up there and we're standing on top of a deer, or we pick it up, it's just like if some bear grabs one of our kids, we're gonna think like, So once you go and talk, or once you go and interact with that fawn or animal, now the parents see a predator grabbing it, and now they might not want to come back and get it, or they might think it's dead and move on, and all these different things, and it just really hinders the chance of that animal surviving. So they're really cute, they're really cool. Take pictures from a distance. What I will say is, if you do have like a fawn and it literally has not moved in a couple of days, then call the DNR or our wildlife switchboard. If you have an animal that's in a precarious spot, then we're going to have to do something about it so it has a better chance. But if it's just in your backyard, or if it's in a park or somewhere where it can safely just sit there and be chill, just leave it there.
Yeah, I know sometimes, like last year I was on a golf course and saw one there, like it kind of scared me. It was right in the rough, and I'm like, you feel bad because it's got the puppy eye dog eyes and all that. It's like, all right, Dan, it's okay. It's okay. Let it go. So
yeah, exactly. It'll be all right. It's just hanging out. Just like you're enjoying the golf course, it's enjoying the golf course.
See, I like that mindset right there. So Jake, good stuff as always, buddy. We appreciate it, and
of course,
I'll let you know if I have any luck with my turkey season coming up here.
Yeah, I was gonna say I haven't heard anything. What season do you have?
I it's not this week. It's next week. I got one of the later
so you got
ones.
the 5th season.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that's
there's plenty of turkeys.
The last one I got was that same time of year, so I'm hoping history means something here.
Jake, have you got preliminary numbers as far as you said earlier? It's going well, but you have preliminary numbers that they're taking a number of birds?
Yeah, I haven't seen any preliminary numbers. I think it's I don't think it's as like publicly exciting. So I don't think they run the numbers all the time like they do with deer during the deer season. But there's definitely, we do a turkey camp with a bunch of retired wardens and friends and local wardens. And yesterday they went out in the county forest and they whopped a bunch of them. So they did pretty good. So there's plenty of birds. And then also, Bob, I was thinking about it on the elk stuff. I read something this week where they're not going to have any numbers or information on that elk season until the next Natural Resource Board. I saw that at the next NRB meeting, they are going to present the numbers or quotas or licenses or what, however you want to explain it, to the Natural Resource Board. And I think they're going to make some decisions or discuss it then.
Okay, because I know that the 31st of May is the deadline for applying. For this year's hunt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you definitely want to get them in, but there's no numbers that I'm hearing until the next Natural Resource Board.
All right, there you go. Inside info from our good buddy Jake. Jake, we appreciate it as always, man, and we'll catch up with you again soon, okay?
Sounds great.
There you go. Jake Boakes, Conservation Warden for the state of Wisconsin. Quick break, and we'll wrap things up after these quick words. All right, let's wrap some things up with some picks and predicts brought to you by the Elbow Room in Eau Claire, located right next to the Banbury Place. Looking for maybe a location to watch some of these games, some of the action, races over the weekend too. By the way, Mystic Dan, that was my pick on Friday.
Yeah, it should have been. What a race that was.
I should have bet on that one.
Holy man, that fierceness that was a favorite. He just absolutely, you talk about running out of gas.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yep. So, all right, let's do some NBA picks. We got 2 games tonight here in turn. Cleveland at Boston. I don't think Boston has been favored by less than 11 points so far in these playoffs.
Yeah,
they're
been
favored
dominant.
by 13.5 tonight.
Yeah, and I can see why. They're at home. They've been spectacular at home, and I expect them to win again. Cover, I don't know, but they'll win.
Yeah, I think they win. I could see them winning by like 10.
Yeah,
somewhere around there. So, the Mavs at Oklahoma City Thunder. OKC up 1-0.
I think OKC is going to go up 2-0. I just think they've got a really nice team, and they got a lot of kids that can play. And kids, we emphasize.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I'm going to go OKC too. I think they jump out to a 2-0 lead. Let's do some baseball picks. Not a ton of games today, but Seattle at Minnesota, getaway day here. Who you got?
Boy, how can you not pick the Twins? Man, they won, 12 out of 13?
It was 12 in a row, and then they lost. And 12 out of 14 or something like that.
Something like that. So, Twins are riding a hot streak. Let's go with them.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Twins tonight too, or this afternoon, I should say, because it's just in a couple hours.
Afternoon game should be a nice day over there in the Twin Cities.
Yep. I'll go with the Twinnies too. So let's do St. Louis at Milwaukee.
Who's pitching for the Brewers?
Tobias Myers, and then Sonny Gray going for the Redbirds tonight.
Yeah, I'm going to take St. Louis just because of Sonny Gray. He's having a good season, and the Brewers beat him the last time, but like I said earlier, they didn't beat him. They beat the Cardinals.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Cardinals tonight too. I hate to say it, but
yeah, I'll be rooting for the Brewers, but we'll see how it works.
Tough pitching matchup.
Yep, it is
for the Brewers. And then because it's 4 games, and after that it's Pittsburgh. No Cubs game today, so I mean, even with the loss by the Brewers, the Cubs could move up to first place in the division. Cubs will begin a series with the Pirates starting tomorrow. It looks like
should be a fun season though in that division. I think if anybody runs away with it, I'd be shocked. But I think there could be 4 teams.
Right now, I mean, there's only 2 teams that are over 500.
Yeah,
it's changed up a little bit, but because MLB.com had a ranking of the best divisions, and we were talking about it yesterday, and they had the NL Central at 5th, and pretty much what they're saying is it's not necessarily that 2 teams are running away with it, Cubs and Brewers. It's just everybody else behind them's kind of playing poor baseball right now.
Yeah, I was going to say Pittsburgh and Cincinnati have been kind of disappointing. I thought they'd be
especially
better.
Cincinnati.
Yeah, I thought everybody's picking Cincinnati to win the division this year, especially with their shortstop. I mean, that kid is really a player.
Yep, I agree. So, all right, that's some of your picks and predicts brought to you by the Elbow Room here in Eau Claire. Might as well. Do you think they'll win tomorrow, at least for you in attendance?
Oh yeah, they'll win.
They'll win
They'll
one.
win one, absolutely.
Okay. Do you want to know who's on the mound tomorrow?
Don't care.
I like that. That boy. Good mentality.
I'm just hoping. I want to see Yelich on the field more than just as a DH. Because, if he's only going to be a DH, that's telling me that he's still restricted. And if he does get on base, he's not going to be a threat to move. And I don't like that because Yelich is a good base runner when he's healthy.
Yep. And I would think, too, I mean, majority of ball players, they want to be out in the field, right?
I would think so.
You don't want to go out there. I mean, yes, some, they know their role. We mentioned them, the Ortizes or the Martinezes and such, and some guys older in their years, they get it. But for the most part, guys want to play a whole game. They want to be a part of every part of it, not just
absolutely.
Field.
Keeps
and
your
at the
focus.
plate.
I think your focus keeps you on the game. But I mean, if you're just DH, well, I'm not going to be involved here for a while, so I'm not going to pay that much attention. But if you're playing in the field as well as obviously batting, you've got to stay on top of things. You got to stay in focus of the game. DHs don't.
Right.
Don't have to. Not that they don't do it, but they don't really have to.
Yep. Definitely.
That's got to be one of the hardest positions, quote unquote, to play, to be a DH and keep yourself, because you only get one chance. Every 9 times you get a chance. And if a guy's pitching a good game against you, every 3 innings you get a chance.
Mm-hmm.
You're not in the field, you're not throwing the ball around in warm-ups and this, that, and the other thing. You're not keyed up on every pitch.
Mm-hmm.
As a DH, you just, you're not that much involved.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree with that. So, all right, we got less than a minute to go here. So
already, wow, it goes fast.
I know, right? Sometimes it's the second hour and the first hour.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if I didn't talking about Mystic Dan won the Kentucky Derby. I haven't heard a word on any of the horses as far as how they came out of the Derby health-wise. So
That's got to be a good thing, right?
Yeah. So sounds like a good thing that these horses are in good shape, and we'll see some of these competitors back in Sierra Leone who finished nose behind Mystic Dan, and some of the other ones in the Preakness coming up all week from Saturday.
Yeah. I mean, races over this past weekend. I saw the photo finish to NASCAR too. It was like inches, not even inches. But I was going to ask when the Preakness was, so it's next week.
Yep.
Okay.
Derby, 2 weeks of Preakness, 3 weeks to the Belmont.
All right.
And the Belmont's going to be at Saratoga now. Big Sandy Belmont is under construction, so they're moving it up northern New York to Saratoga, which is the cradle of thoroughbred racing. So that for the first time ever, the 150th Belmont Stakes will be at Saratoga. Now, I don't know whether it's going to be there for more than 1 year with the construction of Belmont, but it will be at Saratoga this year.
All right. Well, safe travels and bring back some wins, all right?
We'll do our best.
DP and the Danettes, they're up next. We'll do this again tomorrow, though, 6 a.m. We'll see you then.